If you're involved in data and overlooking the impact of product, you're not just missing an opportunity, you're sidelining a career revolution. Discover the undeniable ways product expertise can skyrocket your professional journey to unprecedented heights, and it's easier than you might imagine. I'm Ross Webb, and welcome to Data Team Success, brought to you in partnership with Amplitude, the world's best product analytics software in my experience. Now come with me and meet Emily Reed, a driving force behind data innovation. She's not just a senior product manager at a really young age, she's a data visionary. And in this episode, you're going to learn about when data meets product, why it's game-changing, changing gears, the evolving focus in product management, legacy product hurdles, challenges faced, CDO's ascent, the rise and relevance. Emily's journey from teaching data science to her current role in a leading Canadian enterprise bank is truly transformative. But before we dive in, I wanted to know one thing first. What are the real, on-the-ground questions being asked in the industry?
From my perspective, when it comes to product and emerging with data, is how do you use your data effectively? How do you use that tooling effectively? And how do you use it to gather insights and get them, to the folks that need them the most in a good amount of time with a high quality? There are a lot of the things we're thinking about from a product lens, especially since as we keep changing and we focus more on data and the capabilities it has, we really need to look at data as an actual product, right? A lot of the times it was either an aftermath, like a nice byproduct of our tracking softwares, or it was simply some sort of report that we were putting out, or like an audit mandatory thing, and not necessarily something that we actually consider to be a full product. So that landscape is changing.
During my intriguing conversation with Amplitude CEO Spencer Skates, we explored the evolving landscape of product management. He highlighted a move away from the engineering sphere and towards the dynamic realms of marketing and sales. So Emily, have you seen the effect of this transformation in the role of a data product manager?
Companies that do great developer experience, I'll give them a quick shout, is Slack. They have an incredible API documentation library, like that I myself modeled things after, because it's clear, it's interactive, there's like delightful features. So all things we talk about, right, from the product line, but it's directed at somebody in engineering. And that's where I think, is it really about understanding engineering? Maybe it's less about understanding what's under the hood. And we are doing a better job at looking at the levers we can pull from a marketing lens. But we are looking at, there's products for engineering now, and actually seeing engineers as the consumer versus what was before just sort of a middle ground and a, like you said, like understanding engineering from a software development lifecycle or an architecture lens.
Emily, you've dealt with both scientific and corporate product environments. Scientists tend to swiftly abandon hypotheses that don't work, while corporate products can linger unnecessarily. Could you provide insights into this intriguing contrast?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's definitely legacy products out there, internally and externally, that I've seen, go, how is this still a thing, right? Like the migration that you might have started 3 years ago is still happening. And there's a number of reasons why, right? Especially in banking, like in where I work, you do have to really consider the risk involved because you are dealing with people's personal data, and that is extremely important to be safe about. However, it begets these like conflated, again, situations where your product blows up to service old stuff. And if we had spent better time doing discovery and less time doing, I don't know what we're doing, right? Like more time on the discovery and understanding piece, you probably would have less of that because you would be proving your hypothesis wrong faster and getting to a place where it could be better. And a better product for you. Now, I'm not saying everything we buy is amazing, and some teams are, ingrained in what they love, right? Like there's some folks that just really love Datameer, and it is what it is. But if your enterprise is moving strategically to say everything in like Microsoft Azure and all of the opportunities that are there, or even with AWS or even GCP, right, Google Cloud, like you have to begin to look at how to shift those folks off of the things they're using onto something new. But that's where you get that like fragmented thing that happens, and it kills me because that's an example of folks don't all think the same way, right? But that's also the fun challenge in being in product, is understanding human nature a little bit and going, okay, well, what's going to be the path of least resistance? And I have a very strong opinion on this. This is why Threads has taken off, is because they made the sign up with the path of least resistance. Like, people are seeing the data and they're going, it's the fastest growing product. And it's like, yes and no. And here's why. And it's because they made it super easy to sign up and you can't cancel.
Now, what's your take on the evolving roles like chief data officers? Do you see these roles becoming more prevalent in organizations and large organizations maybe? And what essential qualities would make for a successful CDO, chief data officer?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, in the org I'm in, there's multiple, like, depending on your line of business, like a person that is like acting in a chief data officer capacity, because at that point, you're not just considering the analytics, you're considering things like you mentioned, like disaster recovery, or like what are the governance processes surrounding data. And that's where it's a very all-encompassing role. I think chief analytics officer is its own niche thing, but chief data officer encompasses many other, in my opinion, many other areas, right? So you do have to consider, what does good governance look like? What does quality look like? What are our backup plans? And how do we educate our folks so that they're doing good data things, right? And that comes down to, I think, if I were to be really prescriptive, that every good CDO or chief data officer should be a good data citizen and be permeating that down through their organization.
Let's talk about data maturity. Let's just jump in. How have you witnessed data maturity evolve, particularly in terms of extracting richer insights through analytics as data pipelines improve?
Sure. I think it goes two ways. One, there's stagnation. So this is where you've set up a pipeline, it's running reasonably, you kind of like have some checks and balances in there, maybe a couple of alerting functions, and then you just sort of stop paying attention to it, right? And you just let it keep bringing in data, pumping it into, say, like you said, a data lake or even an old warehouse or something. Sure. And that's where maturity fails, right? Because you stop scaling. In order to continue to be data mature, and like what you're asking is, how do you get better analytics, right? At the end of the day, that's all we want, is like, how do we get better insights? And you have to continue to iterate, as always, to become mature as technology changes. So that means looking at, how do you scale and how many folks are going to be using the thing you have, right? This is why data products are no different from any other product. You look at the size of the market, how many people are going to use it, what solutions are potentially available, and what problems you're solving. And if you're very data mature and you're using the best of the best, you would have something that is not, how do I say, like not constrained by, physical barriers, right? So it can go across everywhere. That's like the magic of cloud, right? That everyone likes to talk about. Cloud's still hot in finance, by the way. It's, even though we're a couple of years behind, it's still a big deal. But it's also, how do you then look at, is everything coming in on a quality side, right? And that's a huge piece of data maturity. If you have a mature pipeline, it should be bringing in data that's almost like pre-scrubbed and dumping it in a way that's like reusable. I think if everybody were to just put on a product hat for a hot second, or an experimentation hat for a hot second, and keep thinking about the hypothesis of why they built that pipeline in the first place, maybe we wouldn't be in that situation. And you would actually have mature, in my opinion, well done and robust pipelines. And some of the exciting things that you do is the day-to-day work, the little things that you do to get better every day, right? And if you apply that to a mature product in general, it's like, what are the tweaks you make over time?
We all love discovering those game-changing tools that make our work smoother. Could you reveal any data tools that have become your secret weapons in the data space?
Right now, I'm not sure if it's making my life easier or not. The verdict's still out, but we've been using data build tool to look at some stuff for pipelines. And the interesting thing is that it's actually SQL-based if you go back. But because the data practitioners I deal with do have a lot of SQL knowledge, and this thing is kind of, SQL-based, but it does more than that. It really focuses on the transformation piece of like an ELT pipeline and like transforms the data. It's kind of like a smaller, hop when it comes to learning something new. And like, that's been interesting for us because we're able to start capturing things in a different way. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff that we embed automatically that's really more important to me from a product lens. So like, that stuff's really good. I mean, like Google Analytics is old, but it's still it makes my life a bit easier because
what is that?
In there. I think Google Analytics is old, but it still makes my life easier, in my opinion, because I can like look at what users are doing and go, oh shoot, right? Versus like constantly asking.
You can find Emily Reed on LinkedIn. I'm sure you'll find her as awesome as I do. So be sure to check out her profile there. And if you're hungry for more knowledge on data and product, check out my video with Bhavik Patel. He's brilliant. And check out that next video in our series. It could change the way you think, and click on the link to get there. And a huge special thanks to Amplitude for their invaluable partnership in producing this series on data team success. See you next time.